Do avoidants really not need commitment? Avoidants can act so nonchalant when it comes to the fear of losing their partner.
I think they don't really mean it, but they want you to believe that they do.
That's the struggle for the anxious partner, that avoidants act like they don't care whether you're there or not.
Thinking of it as that throughout your life now moving forward, you're an avoidant and you have avoidant behaviors, really takes away from what I believe should be the core focus.
They see it as like, this is marriage,
Yes.
this is the reality
Yes.
of marriage. Therefore, why would I want to do that
Exactly.
to myself?
There's definitely an element of righteousness in there too, I think. Yeah, like, I'm right. I know what's good for us. This is better.
And I was the one always chasing you and making it happen, made you take me for granted. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Attachment Diaries. Today we'll answer a burning question. Do avoidants really not need commitment? Avoidants can act so nonchalant when it comes to the fear of losing their partner. After a breakup, they say things like, you should see other people. And when you do see other people, then they react with, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
So, do they really mean this?
I think they don't really mean it, but they want you to believe that they do mean it. So there's definitely an element of playing a game to maintain the upper hand, essentially.
Sneaky.
Very sneaky. Avoidant sneaky.
So they don't mean it at all, or they mean it a bit because they're so secure that you're hooked?
Yeah, you're not...
That they don't even perceive other people as a threat?
They're definitely not secure. I mean, they might feel certain in you or their partner not leaving them, but they're definitely not secure as people. So they wouldn't, otherwise they wouldn't need to be playing these games to begin with, right?
Avoidants are not secure as people, but they're secure of your attachment to them. So in that sense, they don't really need commitment because they already have commitment, right?
Yeah.
From their partner. That's my assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of clients come to us at a point where they've gone through the love bombing stage with their avoidant partner. So they've had like 6 to 8 months of paradise where the avoidant partner has ensured they are just head over heels for them, right? All the loving messages, everything they need to say, maybe even that they do want a future with them, they want children, they want marriage, commitment, moving in together, the whole 9 yards. And then once they feel like they have their anxious partner, or sometimes secure partner, firmly attached to them, then they'll start weaning off that generosity and that sense of, yes, I'm totally committed to you. And that's where clients generally come to us because they say, well, it was also great. And now
I went
think
back to that.
Yeah, and I think I'm dealing with an avoidance.
You totally did that too.
I did, yeah.
You did the full-on love bombing, and then you became ambivalent about the relationship, and you didn't know what you wanted.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a trait of a secure person, right? A secure person would say, these are my intentions. This is what I want. Are you game?
So avoidants go from one extreme to the next. Like they're all in, and then they get freaked out.
Well, they say they are all in. You know,
they act all in as well. I mean, not all of them.
Not
you did.
Yeah, I mean, not to say it's all fake or something, right? But what I mean is if somebody is secure, then they wouldn't play all these games, right? So one of the key points is avoidants are not secure.
Okay.
Right, in their attachment style.
So avoidants are not secure, but they pretend to be secure.
Yes, they very much pretend to be secure.
Why do they pretend to be secure?
They want to come across as confident and secure and having it all together.
They want to make an impression.
They want to make an impression. I wanted to make an impression, right? I did.
You did.
I dare say I did. But that's just part of the picture, right? So with us, for example, okay, love bombing, winning you over, horrible things. But
it was nice.
Yeah. But then slowly, as you got to know me, right, you understood, okay, there's other stuff going on for him.
You couldn't keep up.
The perfect facade of I've got it all together.
Yes. Facade, yeah.
And this is what I see so many times with clients, that they have this honeymoon phase. They are with this person. It can be a man or a woman, and it all seems so perfect. They're over the moon, and that fades, it deteriorates, and then they want to find back to it, believing that this is their default state, the avoidance default state, this kind of perfect person, versus seeing that they have a troubled side too. And it can look very different. For some people, it's their avoidant partner, where they were once open and emotionally available, suddenly withdraws. They're no longer emotionally available, or they don't want to spend as much time together, or they're not as affectionate. Everything just dials back 70%, 60%. So they only dial that back, though, when they feel certain that their partner is attached to them, when they've got them hooked.
So they first love bomb to ensure the commitment they want or they need. And then once they have it, this is when they become wishy-washy about what they want. This is when they start revealing, okay, I have troubles, I have doubts. I start overthinking, I start withdrawing, I start self-isolating, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I have mental health issues.
Yeah, their true face.
Yeah.
They're no
or part of their character, right?
Yeah. But then they keep on playing it cool. Because I feel like that's the struggle for the anxious partner. That avoidants play it cool. They don't care. They act like they don't care whether you're there or not.
Yeah.
Or whether you see other people or not, even. That they're happy for you if you do. Why?
Yeah, they
Why
literally
do they
say,
do that? They
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, they literally
you found
say
someone.
that.
Great.
Why?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, again, they'll only say those things once they feel they have the person attached, which brings us back to the topic, whether avoidants really do want commitment or not, or need commitment or not. And I think they do actually very much want it, but from one side.
So they want you to be committed to them.
Yeah.
And they themselves are supposed to have all the freedom they want.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. And they are either blind to the hypocrisy or the double standard, or they don't find it important enough to address. And I think this is where confronting someone that is doing that is very important, which, you did in your own ways with me, to make it clear, like, hey, it's not cool.
So
right?
how did I confront you?
I think you did it more by just being upset. You made it clear, like, this makes me sad. This makes me that you can't commit more clearly or want this. And I think it gave me pause, where I was like, okay, why do I struggle with this, right? And it also shone a light on the fact that there was a double standard.
So it wasn't expressing, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
By this behavior, by this double standard.
Yeah.
I think I also did it by being angry. Being openly angry with you, which is how people act when they're hurt, right? So I just openly expressed that I'm hurt. And I remember you were upset about it. You were like, I thought we had an agreement. You weren't supposed to be upset with me.
What?
Yeah.
That seems like an awfully strange agreement.
Yeah. I never recall making that agreement. So yeah, I basically
only positive emotions.
Laughed in your face and told you, you've got to be kidding me, and I'll talk to you when I'm not angry,
All right. I think a lot of it is about awareness too. I think we've talked about this in a previous episode, that things are not always conscious, these power games. And I think it's the same here, right? It's not like I had this master plan laid out and I was following it through and making sure that you were attached. And finally, when you were, I was going to withdraw. And
yeah, a lot of people demonize avoidance this way. That there's some sort of evil masterminds who try to manipulate.
Right.
When in reality, it's like an unhealthy dynamic when one person has more power than the other, and it just ends up evolving into something that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Like gradually over time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it tends to get worse and worse and worse until you even out the playing field.
Yeah.
And when you even out the playing field, that's what avoidants need as well.
Both sides.
To make up their mind.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like that's what I tell my coaching clients a lot. Like, your partner doesn't need commitment. You're making them not need commitment. Why would he or she want commitment when you keep on telling him or her, like, I love you, I know you're the one, what we had is amazing, and remember that one time when we were on the beach and things felt so great.
Yeah.
Why would they need to change anything?
Yeah.
You're giving them you're giving them all the security.
Yeah, and then you have couples where the avoidant would be happy never being in a formally committed relationship or even living apart. So they're like, you have your life, I have my life, we live kind of separately. We meet sometimes, we do things together, maybe you'll stay over at mine, I might stay over at yours. And we're just kind of informal boyfriend and girlfriend. We never cross the bridge of getting engaged, getting married, maybe having kids, moving in together. So the anxious partner or the other partner, that's not the avoidant, is left in this constant state of limbo and is also then wondering, where did that person go? Will they come back?
Or will they ever come around?
Yeah, and is this worth pursuing? And they have a hard time letting go, understandably, because they've experienced this magical love bombing phase, and they want that back.
So avoidants struggle with commitment.
Yeah.
So it's not just that they don't need it, it's also that it's something they struggle with.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has their weakness. Maybe that's a good way of explaining it, right? That everybody has a weakness. I hate cleaning the kitchen.
Ironically, that's my forte.
Yeah. So to avoidants, that's commitment. Commitment is their dirty kitchen.
Yeah.
So they're kind of defensive about it then.
Yeah.
As well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So why is that? Why do avoidants have this problem with commitment?
Yeah.
What about commitment is so difficult?
You know, with all the people I've worked with and also my own journey, I've come to understand it as having, because people talk a lot about attachment styles and say, okay, you are an avoidant because in your early upbringing, this was the bond you formed with your parent caregiver, right? Yes, but just thinking of it as that and then saying, okay, throughout your life now moving forward, you're an avoidant and you have avoidant behaviors, really takes away from the core, what I believe should be the core focus. Like, if there was something in your infancy where you developed a certain type of bond with a caregiver or parent, and that is informing your present day life, that needs to be addressed and healed. As long as it isn't, you're just reenacting whatever you're familiar with, right? You have your template. And with men, for example, that are very close to their mothers, too close, where there is an enmeshment to a point where they're kind of a substitute husband to their mothers. When that is like really dialed up to an extreme, you have men, and I know this can count for women and their fathers too, right?
Or women and their mothers as well.
Or even that way around. But you'll have, in this case, a man who's been through so much enmeshment with their mother that they're like I don't want to have that again as an adult, because it's so much responsibility, misplaced responsibility, right? It should be on the father. It should, the mother should not have brought it to the son's doorstep to begin with. And so if that's their template, and they believe that's what commitment, that's what a marriage means.
So it was all your mom's fault. That's why you were so hesitant to commit to me.
I don't want to oversimplify or generalize, but it's a huge component in it.
I knew it.
It is a huge component, because say, for instance, for me, if I saw a marriage in my parents where I felt like I never want to have that marriage, right? This is not going to be my life.
You really don't want it to be your life.
Yeah, and the relationship I have with my mother, I say I never want to have that in a relationship. Like, that's just... And if you take that as your template and experience, and you move forward as an adult, you're not gonna want to commit. Right?
You don't want to repeat that, or you don't want to experience that.
You believe that anything that moves more into commitment, that moves into moving in together, or
is going to result
engagement,
in a similar relationship.
It's going to result in the same
so
thing.
What is that relationship that you're talking about, the two enmeshed relationship with a parent?
Well, I think that is just misplaced responsibility and roles.
So when you feel
it's skewed,
too responsible for your parents' well-being.
When you've been made to feel responsible for their well-being. Children will help on their own accord, of course, and they're loving and caring, and they do what they can, but they're children at the end of the day. It's not their job to fix their parents' marriage, but for some children it is. And
so for you it was?
It doesn't, it's not healthy, right? It really doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah. And
enmeshment you develop.
I think all children have this need to fix their parents' marriage, and I did too. But I guess it depends on how big of a mess it is, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And if there are degrees,
there are degrees.
Right?
There are always degrees. Yes. And I think with avoidance, you probably are dealing with somebody that was in a bit more of an extreme enmeshment situation. Yeah, where they say, it can also just strictly be they saw their parents' marriage and how much fighting there was, how unhappy they were, how much stress there was. It just, what if it wasn't a happy marriage? They say to themselves, marriages make people miserable. Why would I want to get married?
They don't see it as this is anything unusual. They see it as like, this is marriage. This is the reality of marriage. Therefore, why would I want to do that to myself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so with their present day partner, they'll be like, well, we have this perfect thing going here. It's so wonderful. We're both happy. Why would we want to put that on the line by getting engaged, by having children, by moving in together, by getting married?
By creating all these complications.
Yeah, which are in their mind inevitably going to lead to some form of unhappiness, the relationship falling apart, basically, and them losing that person that they care about. So it can be about the marriage template they have. It can be about the enmeshment template they have with their mother or father.
Template?
Yes, exactly. Because
living together does bring up friction, right? Everybody's different.
Absolutely.
Some people are very controlling about how they load the dishwasher.
I don't know what you're talking about. I load the dishwasher just like anybody should load the dishwasher.
Other people are very controlling about laundry.
And some people just put... exactly. About baking. Oh my God.
Everybody's a bit crazy.
Right.
But if you can't have healthy ways of coping with it, which avoidants often don't, because
or addressing it even,
because they never developed it, because it was maybe too extreme of a situation, so they can be so sensitive to like simple things, like words, like simple criticisms that wouldn't get to a normal person, with you, I struggle with that. I have to like censor myself, or I used to. Now we're both just more open and blunt because we don't take it so seriously, so we can just say things and like laugh almost a sentence later. But what I see is that they were so hurt that they're just so sensitive, and they want this like extreme safe space of control and freedom for themselves.
Right.
And that's why they don't want to let you in.
Yeah.
And it was the case for you too. Like you wanted absolute control, right?
Yeah.
And absolute control of your apartment, and me bringing a pillow was like encroaching on your freedom.
Pillowcase.
It was a full pillow.
It was a full pillow?
It was a full pillow.
Definitely enroaching. Not to mention,
and I had to take
you
my
hadn't
own pillow.
moved in yet.
You found a nice...
You were making yourself comfortable.
I found a nice pillow.
You were pre-warming the apartment.
Had you brought me a pillow like this, I would have thought, that's a cool pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked the pillow.
You would have liked the pillow?
Yeah. I think avoidants are just, paranoid.
Paranoid, huh?
Like about the meaning of a pillow.
I see.
I mean, you're not wrong. I did move in, right?
Soft launch, yeah.
Soft launch. But it's a bit of both. It can also just be a nice gift.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Or
totally.
to remind you of the other person.
I agree. The sensitivity is definitely there. And you're walking on eggshells in many ways.
Yeah.
In our attachment avoidant program, I think we cover like navigating this quite well and finding that balance between saying, okay, you don't want to come barging in and saying, these are my demands now. Either you man up or
get over it.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to be endlessly accommodating either.
Yes.
And say like, whatever you need, I'll give you the space you need. That's like the all-time classic, right? Thinking that giving the avoidant space is somehow going to magically fix it. It doesn't. They don't figure things out when you give them space. You come back to them and they're in the same state where you left them.
And they don't make up their mind about the relationship either, right? Or about commitment.
So that balance is really important, I think.
Yeah.
To help move things forward.
You need a bit of good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
So coming back to commitment, they're so sensitive or they're so hesitant when it comes to commitment because they have all these unhealthy role models, experiences that they themselves usually are not so aware of, right? Yeah. So they don't think of them as unhealthy.
They think of them as necessary and
or
justified
default or something.
No, I think there's definitely an element of righteousness in there too, I think.
Righteousness?
Yeah, like I'm right. I know what's good for us. This is better.
So not having commitment.
Yeah. Not having commitment is better.
Just taking things day by day.
Yeah, and we should do what I think. They're never like, they don't sit down with a partner and say, I've been thinking about what you said about my avoidant attachment style and not being able to commit. And you're right, like I have problems and we should really talk about this. What's your perspective on it? How do you think we could move towards an engagement? It's always the other partner that brings it up. And then the avoidant person may cooperate and say, yes, you're right. But it's not initiated by them. So there's definitely an element of, I know what's best, even if it's unspoken.
So what is best?
To avoid anything that locks me in. Right?
To avoid anything that locks you in.
Because they think if I have flexibility, if I can have one foot out the door the whole time, then if anything goes bad, I can jump ship or I can just jump off the ship, not even necessarily to another ship, to make sure I don't experience that marriage or enmeshment I had with my parent that was so awful. Right? They're avoiding that at all costs. Because anybody that had healthy role models, parents that were in a good relatively healthy relationship in marriage, let's say, and had a healthy relationship with their parents would not fear getting married or moving in together or any, right? They'd just be like,
logical.
Yeah, okay, like sounds good.
Nice thing.
It's a nice thing, right?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, right. So if you're hesitant like me,
and sometimes you fight, and sometimes
yeah,
it's not nice.
Yeah,
but overall it's better than,
Yeah. So if somebody's hesitant to these ideas, then they have a very different perception of what marriage means or moving in together means than the partner
they see it as a bad thing.
Yes.
Predominantly.
Or that it could go very bad very quickly.
So to summarize the whole commitment situation, it's like, it's not that avoidants don't need commitment. They just want one-sided commitment.
Yeah.
And they want this one-sided commitment because they want the one foot out of the door, because they're so scared of every step of the way.
Yeah.
And what might happen. They're scared of being stuck in a toxic relationship where they can't get out, where they get scolded every day, where they have to do things they don't want to do, where they're not allowed to pursue their hobbies and dreams. They're supposed to just tag along and
are robbed of their freedom, their individuality. They're molded. There are degrees, of course.
There are degrees,
But that's what it can mean to them, right? When somebody says, why aren't we engaged yet? Or why don't we have kids? Why are we not moving in together? To them, it's a threat, or it's something that will dismantle this perfectly good moment.
Someone wants my life to end. Someone wants this relationship to end.
Yeah. And so they create this really imbalanced power dynamic to ensure the person is attached and
so that they have the commitment they need.
Yes.
And at the same time, they have the freedom that makes them feel safe.
Yes. And it's not healthy. I'm not advocating this. It's not fair, of course. But they're not doing it fully understanding what they're doing. Like you were saying earlier.
They're doing it because they can, not because...
Yeah, and they lack the awareness that they're even doing this for these reasons. You know, people are not in relationships thinking about themselves.
I want to exploit this person.
Or I think I have issues. You know, that I need to work on. It's in us relating to people and each other that we grow, where somebody else will shine a light on an aspect of ourselves and say, you know,
you have issues.
Yeah, you have issues. Like, sorry to say it, but it's just what it is. And that's okay, you know, we all do. We're all human. And I think avoidants also suffer under this notion, or it can be both ways. It can also be with anxious people, that they think if they operate in isolation and work on themselves and
that they'll get over
their avoidance or heal their anxious attachment or whatever, then they'll be perfectly ready and then they can do a relationship. And that's not how we work, right? We're social beings.
You definitely had that.
I had that very strongly, So if people operate under this belief that they need to work on themselves as individuals until they are perfect and ready for a relationship, that's missing the whole point of relationships. Like, you will never be perfect, and it's in interacting with another person or people that we learn about ourselves. You cannot see your own blind spots. Somebody will have to call you out.
Would you say it's fair to say it's like a PTSD from, again, childhood? They're maybe seeing a relationship of your parents that wasn't happy, that you're then like, I'm not gonna do this until I'm ready.
I'm gonna get this right. I might even want to make this perfect. So I can show whomever.
You can show them that I'm better.
That I'm not going to, or just because you don't want to experience that kind of pain. I can do this right. And I'm gonna have a happy marriage, relationship, whatever maybe.
So is it fair to say that every avoidant had not an ideal childhood?
I think something must have gone wrong. Somewhere along the way.
Probably
it's not,
nobody had an ideal childhood. Right?
Nobody had a perfect childhood, but
I find it's
people too.
Everybody's doing the best they can, right? And it ends up being the way it is. I wouldn't
necessarily say everybody's doing the best they can, but people are doing something, and sometimes it's better than what other people would do.
Okay.
Or sometimes it's worse.
Were you aware of this when you were hesitant to commit?
No, of course not. Nothing. This awareness.
Were you aware that your parents' marriage was unhealthy?
I definitely didn't agree with it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel like, oh, this is great and
They're such an
this is
amazing
what I
couple.
want. Yeah, it was quite the opposite
Yeah.
in many ways. But I didn't understand just how, unless I worked through things, I would be replicating it subconsciously. Because you can only work off the template you know. And unless you reframe it enough and question it and heal from it, you're bound to repeat it. That's how we work. We copy paste. And that journey was long and arduous and very much intertwined with us, with how you related to me, the things you challenged me on, and me building the awareness.
And the things I didn't challenge you on.
Yeah, absolutely, that too, yeah. And it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You, with a more anxiously attached style, had a lot of aspects that I challenged, and I pointed out, like, hey, that's difficult for me or not so nice. And so we help each other grow. That's an ideal relationship. And
so avoidants have this thing that they'll commit once they're ready, when in reality you'll never be ready.
Yeah.
And anxious people are a bit more realistic in the sense that they're ready to grow.
Yeah.
But they can be a bit too overbearing or a bit too intense.
Sometimes also to the point where they think they have it figured out as well. And the avoidant is the problem and the broken one.
Yeah.
If you're coming from that angle, unfortunately, it's not going to work. Your partner the avoidant will just throw up walls the whole time, because it's a different kind of power dynamic.
Yeah.
It ultimately all does need to be recalibrated to find a balance, ideally. So what was it like for you, actually, in terms of commitment with us?
I was insecure because I felt like you didn't care. At the same time, I didn't fully believe you. Because, like, you would play so cool, but I felt like you were misjudging me. And, like, you were viewing me through a lens that just wasn't realistic. That I'm just, like, like this puppy here, gonna, like, just follow you around no matter what, no matter what you do. And it was frustrating for me because I tried to show you that I'm more independent than you're making me out to be, and you endlessly deny
Reinforce,
it. Deny it. Yeah. And it wasn't doing things that made you, like, where you wouldn't get what you wanted. It wasn't rejecting you in just making my own decisions. Like, I really wanted to go to Norway together, but then I didn't even ask you because I knew you were going to say no. So I just booked the trip, It's in doing things like that. And then you came to look at the photos, right?
Yeah.
But
looked like a beautiful trip.
Yeah, and then would you have come there with me?
I would have.
I mean, do you regret not going?
I very much regret not going.
But that's what was necessary to reframe the story, the narrative, and to make you want to seek closeness. Because when I was the one always chasing you and suggesting it and making it happen, that just made you not need commitment, right?
Yeah.
It made you take me for granted.
Yeah.
Versus when I was my own person, it was frustrating because, you were in denial. Even when I went to Rome by myself, I felt like you were in denial.
It was out of my reality.
Yeah.
I remember.
But then you called me every day, so it did make you anxious, clearly.
Yeah.
So it was hard because I had to struggle with feeling like you don't care, or like you care less than I wish that you did. And dare to do things, dare to face that, I guess, and call you out, and just not let you put me in this box of anxious chaser who's just at your beck and call, was definitely hard and
Yeah.
frustrating, and I felt stuck, and I was in disbelief about the things he'd say, but I also didn't fully buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, okay, let's find out
Deep down, you knew somewhere that I was afraid.
that you were bluffing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's often the case,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If somebody is doing a lot of push-pull and they say, yeah, sure, date other people. I'd be happy for you if you find someone.
Yeah.
But then you actually start dating other people.
Yeah.
Like, you actually have to do it.
Well, I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is it takes actually doing it, not
yeah.
just saying you're going to do it.
And it also takes actually giving these people a chance, because you can go date other people, right? But when you're so fixated on your partner, you're just obsessed.
They still feel secure that you're ultimately attached to them and only want them.
And you're going on these little dates here and there.
Yeah.
But when you actually try to get over, this avoidance, when you actually, the dog woke up. Oh no, back to sleep now. When you actually say, like, I've had enough, I deserve better, I'm going to try to look for someone better, only then do you actually, like, the avoidant actually needs commitment, right?
Yeah,
only then
are they willing to take
relevant.
a step towards commitment? Yeah,
because it's something they need then.
Yes.
It's relevant for them. It's
exactly.
not just relevant for you.
Exactly, yeah. And I think another point that's important to mention is avoidants suffer from a form of isolation in this regard too. It's not just that they see this worldview.
I know.
Yeah, because it can be quite extreme, where they say, okay, I don't want to make the mistakes my parents made. I don't want that marriage, so commitment equals bad, and I will avoid that.
And therefore, I will spend my
costs.
life living by myself.
Yeah, like it's better to live by myself than go down that route.
Or I must never depend on anyone.
Exactly. And the problem is, it's not that they don't want a healthy, stable relationship. It's just it's not in their reality that can exist in certain structures. Like, to them, it's like, I always have to have one foot out the door. That's the only way this can work. And so
it's the only way I can keep you on a good behavior. Because if I fully commit, you're going to go berserk.
Yeah,
just
potentially.
like my mom or my dad.
Exactly.
Or whoever else.
And it's going to fall apart. Yeah.
And you're going to put trackers on me, and which people do, by the way.
Yeah.
And you're going to control everything I wear and eat and do, and right? Yeah.
So it's really important to understand that avoidants can want something outside of that. They can want all the things, the commitment, the marriage, the kids, but they don't believe that it's possible to have those things without it all falling apart.
Without it becoming this torture.
Yes. So it's really important for the other partner to understand, okay, my avoidant partner doesn't have the capacity to come out of this. The clients I work with can be in the situation where they give them space, they give them ultimatums, they do no contact, and it doesn't make the avoidant budge. Because they are so terrified, right? They'd rather be alone than have that unhappiness. But that doesn't mean that they're not open to somebody coming into their life and changing things slowly for them. But they themselves
and being like,
can't do
there.
it. Yeah.
Let's just go on this trip. Stop overthinking. It's just a holiday.
It's just a holiday. We're just doing the next week or two.
Yeah.
I'm just moving my toothbrushes at your place, doesn't mean I'm moving in.
Yeah.
Then it's my towel. Then it's some clothes, whatever. That you don't overwhelm them with this far off future, but rather pace it so that they don't go into that headspace.
Or that you don't jump into it yourself too. Because I feel like anxious people can also be too all in without regard for themselves. I mean, you're dating someone with problems. do you really want to go all in on that, right?
You did?
Well, I didn't.
No, you were careful. Yeah,
I was careful. And I think that's what kept the power dynamic better.
Yeah.
And that's what made it work.
Yeah.
To be a bit self-serving and be like, I am just moving a toothbrush, but if you keep on acting the way you're acting, I'm gonna move this toothbrush back out.
Oh no, not the toothbrush.
You threw away my toothbrush. I was so upset.
But it was I mixed it up with somebody else's.
No, you said it was old and you got me a new one. But
oh yeah, that's nice though.
Yeah, I was so like, how you broke up with me and then you threw away my toothbrush. I was like, what?
And then I got you a new one.
And then you told me you did it because it was old. Yeah.
It was old.
Circling back to the whole not needing commitment. I guess you did answer the question on avoidants don't really mean it.
Yeah.
I mean, they mean it because it benefits them. But if you were to actually move on, they'd be upset, right?
Yeah. That they do want commitment.
Yeah. Only one-sided.
One-sided.
Yeah.
And you have to teach them that a balanced commitment is possible.
And that it can be a good thing and a nice thing.
Yeah.
But when they say these things, I'm happy for you, or you should date other people, what are they thinking? What were you thinking?
When avoidants say that, they believe they have control. Mm-hmm. And that ultimately, even if you go on dates with other people, see other people, you're going to come back. Mm-hmm. They feel like they still have power. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's when they say those things. Mm-hmm. Even if you are actually dating somebody else and it seems like you're interested in that person, if the avoidant partner still feels like, you've got you hooked, you still want me at the end of the day. If that feeling, that reassurance, unspoken, is too strong, they don't have to lift a finger because they know you're gonna come back ultimately.
I feel like they're also a bit blind to it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that the anxious partner is moving on often. I mean, the anxious person often plays a part in it by being overly loving and overly kind to the avoidant, so they never get any warning signs. But their actions already are showing, okay, I am losing interest, I am moving on. They might even start a relationship with someone new. And then avoidants find out, they usually realize it when it's too late.
Yeah.
And it's only when it's too late do they actually realize their feelings.
Yeah. They can be very blind or a bit inflated in terms of how much control they believe they have versus how much they actually do have. And then it can be too late. And then they do feel it. And then they just double down on the self-isolation instead of doing something about it.
So would it be fair to say that they're just not in touch with their feelings?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why they say things like, I'm happy for you. Because they might not be, but they're like rationalizing the situation and they think to themselves, oh, I can't give her what she wants. And here she is dating someone else who maybe is a better person than me and I should be happy.
No, that's later. If they're saying you go date other people, you'd be happier, or I'm happy for you, that's when they believe they have control and power.
So they just straight up never mean it.
Yeah, pretty much.
God damn it.
Yeah. It's when it's too late and the person is actually moving on that they then probably don't do anything in a lot of cases. And they just say, I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Then they're helpless about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So brave.
That was a windsurfer. These pesky windsurfers. They just come by so close.
Yeah.
Malta has to make sure they don't jump on board, right?
Yeah. Pirates around here.
Pirates, yeah. You want to go look at them and bark at them outside Malta?
Yeah, the awareness, I think, comes just too late, you know. and they believe they have control and power.
Or they're like a bit helpless as well then when they get abandoned.
Yeah,
but they
absolutely
just accept
helpless. Yes. Yeah, they accept their fate. It was meant to be.
Or they even
isolation.
then they think they have more time or something.
That can be the case too, which doesn't help any circumstances.
No. Yeah.
So avoidants do want commitment, but
they do need commitment.
They do need it. They want it. I think their version of it, though, this where they have all the power and they're not actually putting a label on it or not moving the relationship forward, is a very unhealthy version driven by their past traumas and templates from their childhood. And they need to be taught gradually, gently, with confrontation as well, like we talk about, that, hey, there is a balanced approach to this, where we can have the kids, we can have marriage, we can have, we can live together, and it's going to be okay. It's not
We're
all
not
going to fall
fight
apart
every day.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to.
This isn't going to be your parents'
respectful
marriage.
of your opinions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I will let you wear the clothes you want to wear.
Exactly.
Or I will not put trackers on you, right, on your car. or I will not tell you when you can go out and when you can't. Yeah. So if you're dating an avoidant, you have to take charge when it comes to commitment.
Yeah, you do.
And on one hand, with the boundaries and being like, look, if you don't want commitment, fine. I'm gonna go ahead and try to find it elsewhere, or I'm going to go ahead and just live my life and not take you into consideration and make you feel left out and not invite you to things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the second sense, by pushing for these changes in a positive light.
Yes.
Making it clear to them, hey, to the avoidant, if we are in a committed relationship, things can be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like checking in with each other every day can be a nice thing.
Living together can be a nice thing.
Yeah.
Like we can make each other breakfast and coffee. We can, don't have to text the whole time. We can just say things to each other.
Cuddle every night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just about reframing it for them.
Yeah.
And that's a process, You definitely have to be somebody that says, I'm in love with this avoidant. I think this can work, and I'm willing to put in the time to like raise this person in a sense, to recalibrate them and teach them, hey, it can be nice and good.
Yeah, it has to be a worthy effort.
Yes.
You have to get enough in return.
Yeah, absolutely.
For it to pay off, right?
Yeah.
I think we answered all the burning questions about commitment. And now you guys know that when avoidants say these horrible things, like you should date other people, or I'm so happy for you, that it means nothing.
Yeah, they don't mean it.
Yeah.
It's a bluff.
It's a bluff. And why they don't need commitment, or why they have this unhealthy view of commitment.
Yeah. And if you found this helpful, do like the video, please. Subscribe if you want to hear more from us. And if you're listening, follow us on your podcast app. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.